Our weight is not merely a physical issue, it is also a profound expression of our psychology. We often believe that losing weight is simply about eating less, exercising more, or tracking calories. In reality, these methods usually address only the surface, and many people find themselves trapped in a cycle, dieting, losing weight, then regaining it. What is crucial yet seldom discussed is that weight is a message from the unconscious mind. Excess fat can reflect fears, wounds, or unresolved emotions within you. They are the way the body and psyche communicate, reminding you that something is neglected or not being cared for. When we look at the body only physically, we miss the subtle signals it is sending. For instance, you might feel your body intentionally holding weight, even though your conscious mind wants to lose it. This is not a failure or a lack of willpower, but the unconscious protecting you. It may relate to the fear of being seen, unhealed loneliness, or patterns inherited from ancestors and society that you carry unconsciously. The body reflects inner conflicts, unacknowledged parts of self, and desires that have yet to be expressed. Understanding that weight is a psychological signal, not an enemy, is the first step to liberation. When you begin listening to your body, observing the emotions, memories, and fears involved, weight loss is no longer a battle with food or scales. Instead, it becomes a process of reconciling with yourself, healing wounded parts, and rebuilding a natural, loving relationship with your body. This practice helps you realize that sustainable weight loss does not come from rigid discipline, but from self-understanding, psychological care, and alignment with unconscious aspects calling for attention. In this way, your weight naturally adjusts to the rhythm of your inner health and wholeness. One rarely mentioned but highly important reason many struggle to lose weight is the fear of being seen. On the surface, we think we only want to be healthy, fit, or attractive. Yet deep down, many unconsciously fear success and the attention it brings. Changing your body makes you more noticeable. Others' gazes, praise, envy, or even criticism arise. In this case, weight is more than fat. It becomes an invisible shield, protecting you from exposure. Psychologically, the body sends a strong message. Here, I am safer. I don't need to be fully revealed. This explains why many struggle despite wanting to lose weight. The body resists change not because of laziness, but because the unconscious is protecting you from fear, vulnerability, or judgment. Seen this way, weight loss is not simply eating less or exercising more. It is facing your inner fears and daring to live authentically. To truly release weight, you must learn to accept yourself and face the light of attention. Ask yourself, are you ready to see yourself fully, to be recognized, and even judged? When you courageously face this fear, the body no longer needs its shield. Then weight naturally releases, while you become more confident, authentic, and harmonious with yourself. In other words, weight loss is not only about the physical form, it is a journey of freeing yourself from the fear of being seen and living fully. When you learn to accept and shine, your body naturally aligns and balances itself. A deep reason many struggle to lose weight is not food or exercise, but the mother archetype wound, a deep psychological aspect in Jungian psychology. From birth, food is not merely nourishment, it is tied to love, care, and a sense of safety. Every bottle, every nurturing gesture signals that the child is loved and protected. However, not everyone receives consistent, sufficient nurturing. Experiencing maternal neglect, inconsistency, or trauma teaches the child to seek comfort elsewhere. Food becomes a substitute, a tool to fill emotional voids. This is why emotional eating occurs. Eating not just for hunger, but to soothe the soul, reduce stress, or fill loneliness. Snacks, sweets, or late-night meals become ways to calm the inner child. This explains why strict diets often fail. Reducing food cuts not just calories, but the only source of comfort the self learned to survive. This sense of deprivation is not weakness. It is the body and mind reacting to protect you. Healing this wound comes not from willpower or food control, but from reparenting. The key is learning unconditional love for your inner child, providing safety, care, and acceptance you longed for. When the inner child is heard and satisfied, food no longer bears responsibilities it was never meant to carry. In other words, sustainable weight loss is not just physical, it is a process of psychological healing, learning self-love, and listening to deep emotional needs. When this is achieved, the body naturally feels lighter and weight aligns with the rhythm of inner peace and wholeness. Another crucial yet overlooked aspect in weight loss is the influence of the collective unconscious. Carl Jung posited that beyond personal experiences, each person carries memories, beliefs, and psychological patterns from ancestors and culture. This means your relationship with food, weight, or body is shaped not only by you, but by inherited psychological legacies. For instance, archetypes such as the good girl, the provider, or the martyr may unconsciously shape how you care for yourself and eat. The good girl may learn to suppress, stay small, and follow expectations, leading to eating as rebellion or claiming autonomy. The provider prioritizes others' needs, neglecting self-care, using food as the only space to satisfy personal needs. The martyr carries scarcity fears, associating eating with guilt or virtue, causing the body to retain or lose weight according to unconscious ancestral principles. Recognizing that these patterns are not fully yours gives you a chance to break free from old scripts. Identifying them is the first step toward conscious choice rather than unconscious inheritance. Understanding that weight challenges are not your fault, but messages from previous generations allows you to stop self-blame and start a journey of freedom and mastery over body and mind. Seen this way, weight loss is not merely about food or exercise, but about releasing unconscious patterns, reconciling psychological inheritance, and creating conscious living choices. When you identify and change these patterns, the body naturally feels lighter, the mind liberated, and you live more fully with yourself. A subtle but powerful reason for weight struggles is over-identification with the persona, social masks. Jung observed that we build images, roles, or masks to fit social expectations. These could be the perfect one, caretaker, or high achiever. Such masks ensure acceptance, safety, and positive evaluation by others. However, over-focusing on maintaining these images neglects the true self. You stop listening to your real needs, emotions, and desires. The body, as part of the unconscious, reacts subtly but powerfully, holding weight as resistance, a mooring, reminding you that you live in a false image rather than your inner truth. In reality, weight in this context is not the enemy. It is the body's message, signaling the need to reconnect with yourself. Each layer of fat can be a reminder. Pause, listen, return to your true self. When you recognize this and begin shedding masks, the body no longer needs to hold you back with weight. The journey here is learning to live authentically, accepting all aspects of yourself without hiding or pretending. This not only allows weight to balance naturally, but also brings lightness, freedom, and harmony between body and mind. In other words, weight becomes a mirror reflecting how honestly you live. When you honor your true self and meet deep inner needs, the body no longer needs to retain you, and weight naturally releases, along with confidence, wholeness, and inner harmony. A profound reason weight is hard to lose is the lack of inner wholeness, or blocked individuation, according to Jung. Jung proposed that the ultimate life goal is wholeness, harmonizing all parts of self, including light, shadow, conscious, and unconscious aspects. When this process is interrupted, the body reflects inner fragmentation through retained weight or other physical manifestations. In this case, weight is more than fat. It mirrors unresolved inner conflicts. For example, one part of you craves freedom, creativity, and independence, while another clings to safety, control, and old habits. Unresolved, this conflict manifests through emotional eating, unhealthy habits, or retained energy as weight. Forgotten, denied, or suppressed parts of self speak through the body. Healing here is not forcing change through willpower or strict dieting. Instead, you must listen to the body, observe its messages, and integrate neglected or suppressed parts. This may include acknowledging unmet needs, caring for the inner child, reconciling with the shadow, or releasing suppressed emotions. When you truly honor and meet your deepest needs, the body feels safe and no longer needs to retain weight as a shield. This process not only naturally adjusts weight, but brings a sense of completeness, harmony, and freedom, as all parts of self are connected and respected. In other words, weight is a physical expression of psychological fragmentation. When you harmonize all aspects of yourself, release the shadow, and live fully, weight naturally decreases, and the body becomes a loyal companion in personal development. For sustainable weight loss, one of the most important steps is changing how you perceive the body and weight. Instead of relying solely on discipline, dieting, or strict exercise, you need to listen to your body and mind. Weight is not the enemy. It is a message from the unconscious, reflecting unmet needs, fears, or neglected parts of self. A powerful question to begin this process is, what is this weight protecting me from? By truly asking this, you begin to realize that excess fat or difficulty losing weight is not merely physical, but a sign of wounds, unconscious patterns, and unmet needs. In journey, working with the inner child, shadow, ancestral patterns, and unmet needs is vital. The inner child needs care, nurturing, and love. Shadow aspects need acceptance and integration. Inherited family and cultural patterns must be identified to allow conscious choice. When you face and integrate these elements, the psyche is no longer fragmented and the body no longer retains weight as a protective shield. This process does not happen in a day, but as the conscious mind and unconscious begin to harmonize, the body naturally responds by relaxing, balancing, and releasing what it no longer needs. No pressure, no self-blame, only understanding, compassion, and deep self-care. In other words, true weight loss is a psychological journey, not just a physical one. When you listen to your body, heal neglected parts, and reconcile internal conflicts, weight reduces naturally and you feel light, free, and harmonious between body and soul. This is the shift from struggle to release, from pressure to love and integration. The most important understanding about weight is not to see it as an enemy to fight, but as a teacher, a message from within. For years, we treat our bodies with strict discipline, dieting, intense exercise, and self-blame for not achieving desired results. Yet these methods address only external manifestations, neglecting root causes. Weight, in reality, sends important messages from the unconscious, reminding you of parts of self that are unheard, uncared for, or unaccepted. When you recognize weight as a teacher, your approach to the body changes entirely. Instead of punishing or forcing, you begin listening to body and mind. You ask, what is this weight protecting me from? What does it reveal about my fears, wounds, or unmet needs? By answering these questions, you see the bigger picture, that fat, eating habits, or difficulty losing weight reflects inner conflicts, past wounds, and neglected parts of self. Real transformation does not come from controlling or punishing the body, but from understanding, accepting, and integrating unconscious messages. Healing the inner child, reconciling with the shadow, releasing ancestral patterns, and meeting deep needs is the path for weight to adjust naturally. When you honor the body, it responds by self-balancing, releasing what is no longer needed, and bringing lightness, freedom, and harmony. In other words, weight is a mirror of the inner self, and sustainable weight loss is a journey of self-awareness, healing, and integration. When you see it as a teacher rather than an enemy, you learn to listen, nurture, and love yourself fully, achieving true, profound, and lasting transformation for both body and soul.